Good thing. A chirp 2. And how about this? The Bruins are 9-1-4 when they fight this year. So all you
Yes.
wackadoos who
Yep.
think that fighting is the core of hockey still, I guess that's a good. I guess you're right. I guess the Bruins just need to fight every game.
Yeah. They'd be 82-0 if they fought every game,
Yeah,
right?
sure. Fight. Yeah, every time they fight, they win. Chirp 2, rough figures here. But this was from Ty Anderson. But since Hampus Lindholm returned to the lineup on March 9th, the Lindholm-Brandon Carlo pair has been on the ice for 11 goals against in about 120 minutes or so of all situational play. So the Bruins have allowed 11 goals in the 290 minutes or so with that pairing off the ice. So the Bruins rose to the physical challenge by Florida finally. Does this bode well for them going into the playoffs? And a listener asked how to solve this Lindholm-Carlo pairing, but I think you saw it toward the end of the game. Be more physical.
Yeah, that's the answer for those guys. Did you know that fight was Hampus Lindholm's first career fight in the NHL?
That was his first career fight. Wow.
His first career fight in the league.
In the league.
So, wow. I mean, he's a nice guy. Brandon Carlo's a nice guy, too.
Yeah, they're both
need
wonderful
to play
people.
more like they played last night. Brandon Carlo, I think this year overall has been more physical than he has been. Is it enough? No, it is not enough.
Nope.
He can still do more. And Hampus Lindholm needs to do a lot more. And the fact that he stood up to Sam Bennett last night was a giant step, in my opinion, in the right direction.
Yeah.
And they need to, that's the difference. That's the reason. If they're going to be out, especially if they're going to be out against other teams' top lines, like if that's the Bruins, so-called shutdown line, if they're going to be out there against the other team's top lines, they have to be much more nasty. Much, much, much more nasty. You don't necessarily have to fight, but you have to use your big bodies to cross-check, clear the front of the net, make people not want to come in there. Not necessarily box them out and lift their sticks. Make them not want to go there. That's the difference between a nasty physical defenseman and a guy who just, takes care of someone's stick. That's not the same thing, especially in the playoffs. So,
I think Lindholm, especially if I think it'll help him be engaged more and give him a little more confidence, because last year he really struggled in the first round. It seemed like he didn't really want any real contact, and he was kind of, really indecisive. The hard forechecking really bothered him. But I think if he stands up to Sam Bennett now, maybe that turns a corner for him. And maybe because the players, they listen to the nonsense.
Sure.
Like he knows that people think he's soft.
Yeah.
Like he knows this. So if he has some of that, kind of confidence from being more physical, getting in a fight, he survived it. Like maybe that's all he really needed to say, okay, I can do this part of it too. And I agree on Carlo. I think he's been pretty good largely most of the year. And I think he's been more physical. I think he's been a little bit better after the whistle and that type of thing. And then when he stood up to Tkachuk last night at the end of the game, I thought that was great. Like, I think that's what he needs to do. So I think that pairing really needs to play that way, and they'll be fine because they're both good players. Like, they'll be fine. So, but I think it's necessary, and they're going to be part of the fall guys if it doesn't go well.
Yeah.
Because if they play this way with those kind of numbers, then there's going to be a big hefty blame. And then you have to wonder, do you have to move on from a Lindholm, or do you have to change the dynamic of your defense, which we've talked about?
Yeah. I mean, Lindholm really needs to be, for that pairing, he needs to be much better because he needs to be the one going back on pucks and making the decisions to pass the puck out of the zone. That's not really Brandon Carlo's game. McAvoy can do it. Lindholm is your other guy who's supposed to be your really good puck moving defenseman. And if he's worried about getting knocked around, you see the turnovers and hemmed in their own zone and problems with that. So he really has to be much better and kind of raise his game, not necessarily to the level he was at the beginning of last year, because that's just unfair. He was playing at a ridiculous level, and you can't expect him to do that for an entire season or entire playoff, because that just hasn't been in his nature over the course of his career. But to approach that would really help the Bruins a lot in the playoffs.
100%, and I agree. So I think they're a major focus when it comes to the success of the team because they both play heavy minutes, and that needs to be a good pairing. It would help McAvoy out a lot if that was the case too. So we'll see how that goes for them.